Check where I'm at. The results of the prophet's message. The Lord said to Muhammad, your people are talking about you when they meet by the city walls or in the doorways of their houses. And they say to one another, let's go and hear what the word has come from the Lord now. So my people crowd in to hear what you have to say. It's like the neighbors listening. But they don't do what you tell them to do. Loving words are on their lips, but they continue their greedy ways. To them, you are nothing more than an entertainer singing love songs or playing a harp. They listen to all your words and don't obey a single one of them. But when all your words come true, and they will come true, then they will know that a prophet has been among them. Prophet. God, let it rain. Ezekiel chapter 4. The Lord spoke to me. Mortal man, he said, denounce the rulers of Israel. Prophesy to them and tell them what I, the sovereign Lord, say to them. You are doomed, you shepherds of Israel. You take care of yourself, but never tend the sheep. You drink the milk, wear clothes made from the wool, and kill and eat the finest sheep. But you never tend the sheep. You have not taken care of the weak ones. Healed the ones that are sick, bandaged the ones that are hurt, brought back the ones that wandered off, or looked for the ones that were lost. Instead, you treated them cruelly, because the sheep had no shepherd. They were scattered, and wild animals killed and ate them. So my sheep wandered over the high hills and the mountains. They were scattered over the face of the earth, and no one looked for them or tried to find them. Now you shepherds, listen to what I, the Lord, am telling you. As surely as I am the living God, you had better listen to me. My sheep have been attacked by wild animals that killed and ate them because there was no shepherd. My shepherds did not try to find the sheep. They were taking care of themselves and not the sheep. So listen to me, you shepherds. I, the sovereign Lord, declare that I am your enemy. I will take my sheep away from you and never again let you be their shepherds. Never again will I let you take care only of yourselves. I will rescue my sheep from you and not let you eat them. I, the sovereign Lord, tell you that I myself will look for my sheep and take care of them. In the same way as shepherds take care of the sheep that were scattered and are brought together again, I will bring them back from all the places where they were scattered on the dark dexterous play. I will take them out of the foreign countries, gather them together, and bring them back to their own land. I will lead them back to the mountains in the streams of Israel and will feed them in pleasant pastures. I will let them graze in safety in the mountain meadows, in the valleys, and in all the green pastures of the land of Israel. I myself will be the shepherd of my sheep, and I will find them a place to rest. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. I will look for those that are lost, bring back those that wander off, bandage those that are hurt, and heal those that are sick. But those that are fat and strong I will destroy, because I am a shepherd who does what is right. Now then, my flock, I, the sovereign Lord, tell you that I will judge each of you and separate the good from the bad, the sheep from the goats. Some of you are not satisfied with eating the best grass, and you even trample down what you don't eat. You drink the clear water and muddy what you don't drink. My other sheep have to eat real grass. You trample down and drink the water you muddy. So now I, the sovereign Lord, tell you that I will judge between you, strong sheep, and the weak sheep. You push the sick one side and butt them away from the flock. But I will rescue my sheep and not let them be mistreated anymore. I will judge each of my sheep and separate the good from the bad. I will give them a king like my servant David to be their one shepherd, and he will take care of them. I, the Lord, would be their God, and a king like my servant David would be their ruler. I have spoken. I will make a covenant with them that guarantees their security. I will get rid of all the dangerous animals in the land so that my sheep can live safely in the fields and sleep in the forests. I will bless them and let them live around my sacred hill. There I will bless them with showers of rain when they need it. The trees will bear fruit, the fields will produce crops, and everyone will live in safety on his own land. When I break my people's chains and set them free from those who made themselves them slaves, then they will know that I am the Lord. The heathen nations will not plunder them anymore, and the wild animals will not kill and eat them. They will live in safety, and no one will terrify them. I will give them fertile fields and put an end to hunger in the land. The other nations will not sneer at them anymore. Everyone will know that I protect Israel and that they are my people. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. You, my sheep, the flock that I feed, are my people, and I am your God, says the sovereign Lord. The animal snacks. God's punishment of Edom. Ezekiel chapter 35. The Lord spoke to me. Mortal man, he said, denounce the country of Edom. Tell the people what I, the sovereign Lord, am saying. I am your enemy, mountains of Edom. I will make you a desolate wasteland. I will leave your cities in ruins and your land desolate. Then they will know that I am the Lord. You were Israel's constant enemy and let her people be slaughtered in the time of her disaster, the time of final punishment for her sins. So then, as surely as I, the sovereign Lord, am the living God, death is your fate, and you cannot escape it. You are guilty of murder, and murder will follow you. I will make the hill country of Edom a wasteland and kill everyone who travels through it. I will cover the mountains with corpses, and the bodies of those who are killed in battle will cover the hills and valleys. I will make you a desolate forever, and no one will live in your cities again. Then you will know that I am the Lord. You said that the two nations, Judah and Israel, together with their lands, belong to you, and that you would possess them, even though I, the Lord, was their God. I, the Lord, was their God. So then, as surely as the sovereign Lord am the living God, I will pay you back for your anger, your jealousy, and your hate toward my people. They will know that I am punishing you for what you did to them. Then you will know that I, the Lord, heard you say with contempt that the mountains of Israel were desolate, and that they were yours to devour. I have heard the wild boastful way you have talked against me. The sovereign Lord says, I will make you so desolate that the whole world will rejoice at your downfall, just as you rejoice at the deportation of Israel, my own possession. The mountains of Seir, yes, all the land of Edom will be desolate. Then everyone will know that I am the Lord. The Lord said, Mortal man, speak to the mountains of Israel and tell them to listen to the message which I have the sovereign Lord has for them. Israel's enemies gloated and said, Now those ancient hills are ours. Prophesy then and announce what I, the sovereign Lord, am saying. When the neighboring nations capture and plunder the mountains of Israel, everyone made fun of Israel. So now listen to what I, the sovereign Lord, has to say to the mountains and hills, to you brooks and valleys, to you places that were left in ruins, and to you deserted cities which you plundered and mocked by all the surrounding nations. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken out in the heat of my anger against the surrounding nations, and especially against Edom. With the glee and contempt they captured my land and took possession of its pastures. So prophesy to the land of Israel and tell the mountain hills, brooks, and valleys that I, the sovereign Lord, am saying in jealous anger because of the way the nations have insulted and humiliated them. I, the sovereign Lord, solemnly promise that the surrounding nations will be humiliated. How do you say it? humiliated. humiliated. I can't talk. Humiliated. I'm so. I can't say it. Humiliated. The best way I can say it. But on the mountains of Israel, the trees will again grow leaves and bear fruit for you. My people Israel, you are going to come home soon. I am on your side, and I will make sure that your land is plowed again and crops are planted on it. I will make your population grow, and you will live in the cities and rebuild everything that was left in ruins. I will make your people and cattle increase in number. There will be more of you than ever before, and you will have many children. I will let you live there as you used to live, and I will make you more prosperous than ever. Then you will know that I am the Lord. I will bring you, my people Israel, back to live again in the land. It will be your own land, and it will never again let your children starve. I, the sovereign Lord, say, it is true the people say that the land eats people, and that it robs the nation of its children. But from now on it will no longer eat people and rob you of your children. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. The land will no longer have to listen to the nations making fun of it or see the people sneer at it. The land will no longer rob the nation of its children. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. The Lord spoke to me, Mortal man, he said, when the Israelites were living in their land, they defiled it by the way they lived and act. I regarded their behavior as being as ritually unclean as a woman is during her monthly period. I let them feel the force of my anger because of the murders they have committed in the land and because of the idols by which they have defiled it. I condemned them for the way they lived and act, and I scattered them through foreign countries. Wherever they went, they brought disgrace on my holy name because people would say, "These are the people of the Lord," but they had to leave his land. That made me concerned for my holy name, since the Israelites brought disgrace on it everywhere they went. Now then, give the Israelites the message that I, the sovereign Lord, have for them. What am I going to do is not for the sake of you Israelites, but for the sake of my holy name, which you have disgraced in every country where you have gone. When I demonstrate to the nations the holiness of my great name, the name you disgrace among them, then they will know that I am the Lord. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. I will use you to show the nations that I am holy. I will take you from every nation and country and bring you back to your own land, and I will sprinkle clean water on you and make you clean from all your idols and everything else that has defiled you. I will give you a new heart and a new mind. I will take away your stubborn heart of stone and give you an obedient heart. I will put my spirit in you, and you will see to it that you follow my laws and keep all my commands, all the commands I have given you. Then you will live in the land I gave your ancestors. You will be my people, and I will be your God. I will save you from everything that defiles you. I will command the grain to be plentiful, so that you will not have any more famines. I will increase the yield of your fruit trees in your fields, so that there will be no more famines to disgrace you among the nations. You will remember your evil conduct and the wrongs that you committed, and you will be disgusted with yourself because of your sins and your iniquities. Israel, I want you to know that I am not doing all this for your sake. I want you to feel the shame and disgrace of what you are doing. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. The sovereign Lord says, when I make you clean from all your sins, I will let you live in your cities again and let you rebuild the ruins. Everyone who used to walk by your fields saw how overgrown and wild they were, but I will let you farm them again. Everyone will talk about how this land, which was once a wilderness, has become like the Garden of Eden, and how the cities which were torn down, looted, and left in ruins are now inhabited and fulfilled. Then the neighboring nations that have survived will know that I, the Lord, rebuild ruined cities and replant wasteland fields. I, the Lord, have promised that I will do this, and I will. The sovereign Lord says, I will once again let the Israelites ask me for help, and I will let them increase in numbers like a flock of sheep. The cities that are now in ruins will then be a full of people, as Jerusalem was once full of the sheep which were offered as sacrifices at a festival. Then they will know that I am the Lord. I felt a powerful presence of the Lord, and his spirit took me and set me down in a valley where the ground was covered with bones. He led me all around the valley, and I could see that there were very many bones. This is called the Valley of the Dry Bones, Ezekiel 37. There were bones that were very dry. He said to me, Mortal man, can these bones come back to life? I replied, Sovereign Lord, only you can answer that. He said, prophesy to the bones. Tell these dry bones to listen to the word of the Lord. Tell them that I, the sovereign Lord, am saying to them, I'm going to put breath into you and bring you back to life. I will give you sinews and muscles and cover you with skin. I will put breath into you and bring you back to life. Then you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I had been told. While I was speaking, I heard a rattling noise, and the bones began to join together. While I watched, the bones were covered with sinews and muscles, and then with skin, but there was no breath in the bodies. God said to me, mortal man, prophesy to the wind. Tell the wind that the sovereign Lord commands it to come from every direction to breathe into these dead bodies and to bring them back to life. So I prophesied as I had been told. Breathe entered the bodies, and they came to life and stood up. There were enough of them to form an army. God said to me, mortal man, the people of Israel are like these bones. They say that they are dried up without any hope and with no future. So prophesy to my people Israel and tell them that I, the sovereign Lord, am going to open their graves. I am going to take them out and bring them back to the land of Israel. When I open the graves where my people are buried and bring them back, bring them out, they will know that I am the Lord. I will put my breath in them, bring them back to life, and let them live in their own land. Then they will know that I am the Lord. I have promised that I will do this, and I will. I, the Lord, have spoken. The next chapter. Judah and Israel in the kingdom. The Lord spoke to me again. Mortal man, he said, take a wooden stick and write on it the words, the kingdom of Judah. Then take another stick and write on it the words, the kingdom of Israel. Then hold the two sticks end to end in your hand, so that they look like one stick. When your people ask you to tell them what this means, tell them that I, the sovereign Lord, am going to take the stick representing Israel and put it with the one that represents Judah. Out of the two, I will make one stick and hold it in my hand. Hold in your hand the two sticks and let the people see them. Then tell them that I, the sovereign Lord, am going to take all my people out of the nations where they have gone to gather them together and bring them back to their own land. I will unite them into their one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel. They will have one king to rule over them, and they will no longer be divided into two nations or split into two kingdoms. They will not defile themselves with discussing idols anymore or corrupt themselves with sin. I will free them from all the ways in which they sinned and betrayed me. I will purify them, and they will be my people, and I will be their God. A king like my servant David will be their king. They will be united under the ruler and will obey my laws faithfully. They will live on the land I gave to my servant Jacob, the land where their ancestors lived. They will live there forever, and so will their children and all their descendants. A king like my servant David will rule them forever, which meaning Jesus Christ. I will make a covenant with them that guarantees their security forever. I will establish them and increase their population. I will see to it that my temple stands forever in their land. I will live there with them, and I will be their God, and they will be my people. And when I place my temple there to be among them forever, then the nations will know that I, the Lord, have chosen Israel to be my own people. chapter 38. Ezekiel chapter 38. God as an instrument of God. The Lord spoke to me. Mortal man, he said, denounce God, chief ruler of the nations of Meshech and Tubal, and the land of Magog. Denounce him and tell him that I, the sovereign Lord, and his enemy, am his enemy. I will turn him around, put hooks in his jaws, and drag him and all the troops away. His army, with its horses and uniformed riders, is enormous, and every soldier carries a shield and is armed with a sword. Troops from Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya are with him, and all have shields and helmets. All the fighting men of the lands of Gomer and Beth Togarmah in the north are with him, and so are the men from many other nations. Tell him to get ready and have all his troops ready at the command. After many years, I will order him to invade a country where the people were brought back together from many nations and have lived without fear of war. He will invade the mountains of Israel, which were desolate and deserted so long, but where all the people now live in safety. He and his army and the many nations with him will attack like a storm and cover the land like a cloud. This is what the sovereign Lord says to Gog. When that time comes, you will start thinking up an evil plan. You will decide to invade a helpless country where the people live in peace and security in unwalled towns that have no defenses. You will plunder and loot the people who live in the cities that were once in ruins, and they have been gathered from the nations, and now they have livestock and property and live at the crossroads of the world. The people of Sheba and Dedan and the merchants from the towns of Spain will ask you, have you assembled your army and attack in order to loot and plunder? Do you intend to get silver and gold, livestock and property, and march off from all those spoils? So the sovereign Lord sent me to tell Gog what he was saying to him. Now while my people Israel lived in the security, you were set out to come from your place in the far north, leading a large powerful army of soldiers from many nations, of all of them on horseback. You will attack my people Israel like a storm moving across the land. When the time comes, I will send you to invade my land in order to show the nations who I am, to show my holiness by what I do for you. You are the one I was talking about long ago when I announced through my servants, the prophets of Israel, that in the days to come I will bring someone to attack Israel. The sovereign Lord has spoken. The God's punishment of Gog. The sovereign Lord says, on the day when Gog invades Israel, I will become furious. I declare in the heat of my anger that on the day there will be a severe earthquake in the land of Israel. Every fish and every bird, every animal large and small, and every human being on the face of the earth will tremble for fear of me. Mountains will fall, cliffs will crumble, and every wall will collapse. I will terrify Gog with all sorts of calamities. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. His men will turn their swords against one another. I will punish him with disease and bloodshed. Torrents of rain and hail together with fire and sulfur will pour down on him and his army and on the many nations that are on his side. In this way I will show all the nations that I am great and that I am holy, and they will know that I am the Lord. Finally, at 39. Chapter 39. The sovereign Lord said to Moral Man, denounce Gog, the chief ruler of the nations of Mishach and Tubal, and tell him, and I am his enemy. I will turn him in a new direction and lead him out of the far north until he comes to the mountains of Israel. Then I will knock his bow out of his hand and hand him arrows out of his right hand. Hold on. The Lord said, when all this happens, I will give Gog a burial ground and bury the bodies remaining on the ground on the city. 40. So I'm at 40. The Lord said, I will let the nations see my glory and show them how I use my power to carry out my just decisions. The Israelites will know from them on that I am the Lord their God, and the nations will know that the Israelites went into exile because of the sins which they committed against me. I turned away from them and let them enemies defeat them and kill them in battle. I gave them what they deserved for their uncleanness and their wickedness, and I turned away from them. The sovereign Lord said, but now I will be merciful to Jacob's descendants, the people of Israel, and make them prosperous again. I will protect my holy name when they are once living in safety in their own land, with no one to threaten them. They will be able to forget how they were disgraced for having betrayed me, in order to show to many nations that I am holy. I will bring my people back from all the countries where their enemies live. Then they will know I am the Lord their God. They will know that this is because I sent them into captivity and now gather them and bring them back into their own land, not leaving them behind. I will pour out my spirit on the people of Israel and never again turn away from them. I, the sovereign Lord, have spoken. So we're at Ezekiel chapter 40 the next time I read.